We'll just wait a couple more minutes. I'm just want to check that we are actually online. Let's check. Do you see us?
Not yet. Oh, yeah, it's gone live.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's live.
Okay. We are live. All right. Good evening, everyone. It might be good morning for some of you in the US or good afternoon in Europe, wherever you are. My name is Tomo, co-founder, managing director of Earth Company, and I'm here with Aska.
Hi, the co-founder and executive director of Earth Company and Mana Earthly Paradise.
And we have the honor and privilege to have Mason Tan with us tonight. Hi, Mason.
Hi. Hi, Tomo. Hi, Aska. Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to be here. It's an honor and privilege to be here. Come and share, talk about, whatever you want to ask me about.
Yeah, definitely U.S. politics. Yeah, thank you so much, Mason. I know you're a busy person, so appreciate taking the time on a week night.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Cool. Let me share the screen. Can you guys see all right? Seems to be loading. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So we have about 60 minutes together, and we'll go into Earth Company very shortly, and then I'll turn the mic to Mason, who will talk about garden impact in TBN Asia. I think mostly on TBN Asia, and then we'll spend the majority of our time just chatting about leadership qualities for social change. And then we'll try to answer any questions that might come through the Facebook Live. And then we'll finish off with some announcements at the end, including the call for applications for the Impact Hero 2021, which is one of the reasons why we're doing this event. Great. So I'll start off with Earth Company, and not all of you who are watching this may know about Earth Company. So very quickly, I'll tell you about what we do. Our mission is to support and empower individual institutions that create a world we can pass on to future generations. We do 4 things. I know that's a lot of things for a small social enterprise. But the first thing that we do is that we have a social accelerator program called Impact Hero Program, which we'll talk in more details later. We also have 3 other things. The second thing is called the Impact Academy, which is an educational program that takes place mostly in Bali, but we've started some online programs. But we're also developing new programs in East Timor and also Marshall Islands whenever the travel restrictions are lifted. We also do consulting. And then the last thing, the most recent thing that we started is a eco hotel in Ubud, Bali called Mana Earthly Paradise, and which is just about a year old. Yeah. And the little bit about the Impact Hero program. So we are select 1 Impact Hero per year. We support them for a 3-year period, which is one of the things that makes us quite unique, because most social accelerators are much kind of shorter in duration, but we really make that commitment and support them as much as possible. And these are some of the criteria that we use to select the impact heroes, and we'll get to these in more length later. And Earth Company was founded in 2014. So we've been around for about 6 years, and we've selected and supported these impact heroes to date. So as you can see, they're from different corners of the Asia Pacific and also engaged in different causes. And so, running from, environmental education to climate change to peace building. And in the last couple of years, we've also selected finalists from our process. In 2018, we had Ram from India, Maheen from Bangladesh, Peter from Indonesia, Sebastian from Laos, and Rai from Nepal. And in the 2019 round, we also selected Ego from Timor-Leste, Garvita from India, Lisa from Samoa, as well as Sasiranga from Sri Lanka. And what do we do over the 3 years? The short answer is we do everything and anything that our impact heroes request us to do. But specifically, we do kind of leadership coaching, fundraising. So we fundraise anywhere between 100K to about 300K, and then channel that money towards the impact heroes activities. We also support them in marketing. We help them build new businesses, especially social businesses, and also just coaching in general. Here's a kind of a 3-year timeline of what we do, but this all depends on the request and situation of the impact hero. And in the last few years, so we've raised about $800,000 for our impact heroes, and through that money and through our support, we've supported over 600,000 people, specifically in these different locations in Asia Pacific. So these include the Liblora Green School in Timor, Liblora Green Villas, again in Timor, Bumisehat Clinic in Bali, Bumisehat Clinic in Papua. This is the Indonesian side of Papua, supporting disasters in this awful year of 2018, when there were multiple major disasters in the region. Also supporting an evacuation center in Bali. And now there is a clinic that's being constructed in Palawan. For Kathy in the Marshall Islands, we built a youth center. And also for Weiwei, we've been supporting the Yangon Youth Leadership Center, which is really promoting cross-cultural dialogue between ethnic minorities in the country, which is a very needed activity. So that was a very, very quick overview of what Earth Company does, and especially in the Impact Hero program. And I know most people are interested in hearing from Mason, so I will quickly, turn the focus to Mason. All yours.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let me turn on the slides. I hope you can see the slide. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks, Tomo. Thanks for the nice introduction. Good. Hello, everyone. I just want to give an opportunity to talk a bit about Transformational Business Network in Asia. So we just want to highlight a few things. When people talk about impact investing, it can be a very broad term. And we just want to highlight a few things that we borrow from the definition under the GIN, which is Global Impact Investing Network. We believe that impact investing should have at least these 4 components. One is, in addition to financial return, it must have at least a positive social return target or environmental return target. Secondly is that, we need to have a range, of return. Even if it's no return, we just have to mention very upfront, because this is something very important. This is talk about managing funders or even grant makers or even patient investors' expectations. And then we talk about range of returns on asset classes. This is need to be very, very open and very upfront, because different people have different risk appetites, different risk tolerance. So I think And then the fourth one, I think, which is the most important thing, is impact measurement. This is something that, to be honest, is still evolving. There's so many types of impact measurement tools out there in the market. Honestly, there's no right or wrong tool. It's more about which tool that you're more comfortable with. So just to let you highlight that why TBN Asia and our supporters and volunteers believing that through sustainable impact investing is a way to move forward, because we wrote this is what's happening in Asia, that we are seeing a widening disparity between the rich and the poor. And secondly is that we realize by giving charity or philanthropy is not going to change the lives of the poor families or even homemakers. And thirdly, what alarming is that more than 70% of the Asian population is below the age of 30 years old. So you see there's a rising tension between the rich and the poor, especially when you have a growing young population and that's not without jobs. So what we see is that we see the opportunity is to invest in sustainable, scalable social enterprises so that they can provide jobs and livelihood income to the people in the community. I think more importantly, we want to help to strengthen and to build a community approach, because to make a project successful it cannot be done in isolation. You need to involve the ecosystem of communities, people ranging from vendors to consumers. So it has to be a sharing the same vision of making things happen. And more importantly, it must transform lives. It's not touch and go. A lot of people, sometimes you look at project and when you withdraw, your project not become sustainable. Just to let you know, actually this concept was borrowed from our so-called sister organization in UK that was focusing a lot in Africa. And TBN Asia started in a very like only less than about 5-6 years ago. And our mission is really help to scale up social enterprises to make them sustainable. This is something very important for us. It's not just for investors. We are also trying to encourage philanthropies, foundations, even NGOs to allocate a part of their philanthropic money into become a sustainable impact investing, which I will share a bit further down later on. The TBN Asia, we are now divided into 5 main pillars. The Resilient program is actually the latest new program that is really, the intention is to provide emergency bridging loans to social enterprises that are badly hit by the COVID-19. So we realize that we are looking at many social enterprises are facing cash crunch because there's no sales, business shut down. And they are a group of people that are willing to provide a below market interest rate loan for maybe between 3 to 5 years, and including a debt moratorium of 6 to 12 months, because they know that the market economy recovery is going to take time. We have to be very realistic about all these things. So currently we are focusing on setting up a platform in Indonesia and Malaysia. We are still evolving in discussion. So this involves grant makers or even councils that are willing to use their grant money as first loss capital. I can explain that further if you need query on that. The second key pillar is the investor clubs. We realize that there are many traditional impact or so-called traditional financial investors who are not very familiar with what we call the impact investing. So the way how we look at deals for a social enterprise versus a traditional deal requires some paradigm shift thinking. For us, we have a group of people, not just in Singapore, but also in Indonesia, Malaysia, Hong Kong, and Australia. There are people willing to give patient capital, which is defined as giving up to 10 years period. They're willing to accept that, going to take time to scale up the business. This is very different from the traditional unicorn business. We want to help these people to understand that you can, besides just doing good, you can do well for the business as well. So therefore, we are introducing, the concept to people, like you can see funders, pipelines, even site visits to help to people to understand the meaning of what it looks like to invest in a social enterprise. I think I briefly talk about it. We have members or even affiliate clubs around this region. Just bear in mind, the investor club is not an investment vehicle. It is more a platform or association whereby we come and share deals, share knowledge, and more about how we can share risk by co-investing together. And we also have a conference and events that we have been conducted the last few years in various cities. And we also work with foundations and even education institutional about how to link the students to pipeline projects, we can link with even with, in this case, with Earth Company, it's an open platform. We share our deals together. We share our knowledge together. It is very different from the 10 years ago where people try to be exclusive, very, very withholding information. Today, we are working in an internet digital era that whereby we believe in sharing information and hope to see more people succeed. This is just a snapshot of the past year events that we have conducted over places. And what more interesting is that we also have volunteers like coaches or even CEOs, people who are willing to contribute their knowledge, their know-how, their network to help people, to help to mentor or to guide those social enterprises. I think this is very important because for many social entrepreneurs, it is a very lonely journey. Nobody really understands the challenges that they are facing. And I'm sure Earth Company knows about their experience when you deal with impact heroes, because it's a lot of challenges, a lot of things that need to be patient and support. Again, we are very privileged to receive a generous grant from John Templeton Foundation to train those social enterprises to be investment ready. So we had our first workshop, in fact, right before the lockdown of COVID-19 in Jakarta. So we are very proud to say that, after 6 months, of 6 sessions of monthly training, we managed to graduate 7 of them. And we are launching our second cohort in a month's time as well. So again, the purpose of this social enterprise hub will be able to connect the investor clubs, incubators, and we are not competing with incubators or accelerators. We're helping them, these candidates, to be investment ready, which requires a more tougher look. We need to make sure the business model is robust, et cetera, et cetera. And this is just a snapshot of some of the people that we work with who believe in the impact investing ecosystem. I shall stop here. And I'll pass it back to Tomo.
Great, thank you, Mason. Yeah, definitely some really interesting stuff there that we could listen for many hours.
Okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of things we want to ask you. But the first question to start us off is really around leadership and individuals. And this is actually going back to the ABPN conference in Bali, where we met,
Yes.
and in February this year. So this is before the lockdown happened.
Yes.
It's like years ago when we were able to meet up at conferences,
Yes.
and gather in big groups.
Yes.
But I actually went to your session. I can't recall the name of the session, but I still remember what you said, which was, when I meet potential, investees, or, social entrepreneurs, I don't ask what their business model is. I ask, how they're doing and who their families are,
Yeah.
And that was a really surprising thing to hear from an impact investor.
Okay.
Rare. And just if you can expand on that approach a little bit more, that would be wonderful.
Sure. As an impact investor, our biggest risk is character risk, not financial risk. When I say character risk is, when we invest in a potential social entrepreneur, it's either you trust him or her 100% or you don't trust. I mean, you cannot say, oh, I only trust this guy 70%, I don't trust him 30%. I'm not going to lose sleep over that 30%, because again, we are a impact investor and we manage a portfolio of different social entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And therefore, we need to be we need to trust. We need to learn to trust each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not easy.
Yeah.
But, honestly, another important component of character risk is we recognize many social entrepreneurs are not very financially savvy or legally savvy. Let's be very, very honest.
Yeah.
What drives them to do the business is their passion to help the so-called the marginalized community, right? There are very, very few bankers who are in this space, people who understand finance well. But that's where we see as an impact investor our value of coming in, meaning that I would say the social entrepreneurs, you focus on, building your business, about, how to reach out, how to expand, how to scale up your business. Let me take care of the finance of your business.
Yeah.
Right. And, and what that means is that, you need to trust me. I am your partner. I am not somebody who want to steal away your money. I'm putting in my money. I'm putting skin in the game. We are partners. And the meaning of partners means that we need to stick through the thick and thin together. Not only party when good times, but when bad times, I call you, hey, where's my money? Give it back to me. So this is where
like now, right?
So this is also an important element whereby character to me is number one, can I trust the social entrepreneur? Another important factor we have to remember is this, as in any finance transaction, writing a 200 pages legal document is not going to eliminate your risk, right? And we try to keep our legal documentation as simple as possible, like maybe 15, 20 pages. But we need to honor the trust, right? Because writing a 500 pages legal document is not going to be, say, this is going to be a risk-free investment. There's still the risk in that. So I think the component is that, for a social entrepreneur, I like to see that the individual is trustworthy, is humble, and more importantly, is learn to respect and express, dignity on other people. Not because, oftentimes, sometimes when a social entrepreneur or a founder of business, when they become monetarily successful, their head becomes so big and they think, oh, who are you? I don't remember who you are, But, so these are some of the things which I think is very, very crucial, because if we don't trust the person, I'm not even going to put in $1.
Yeah. Okay, there's so much to unpack in what.
Okay.
But I guess one question is, I mean, first of all, there really aren't that many impact investors or investors in general that like you, in my opinion. Especially, I think impact investors coming from the more traditional side, right? And I think people, I guess, coming from more the philanthropic side, moving towards impact investing, I think would have kind of your mentality. But how do you convince, the traditional investors to have this kind of mindset where trust is really the currency, right? Is the attributes, because they come from the 500-page contract, risk,
kind of environment,
environment, right? So how is that? I mean, I guess that's one of the things you're trying to do in the investor club, right? Is to really kind of
them. Sure. So for me, it is very important to understand um, a what motivate the so-called the traditional financial investors to do social impact investing. Some of the key differences is very glaring. Number one, in a typical traditional financial investing market, everybody is looking for the next Facebook, the next Airbnb, right? Which is 10x return.
Yeah.
And it's either you die or I die. And that's it. There is no coexistence of the player, right? There can only be one Facebook and one Alibaba.com, right? But in a social impact space, we have what we call a zebra. A zebra valuation is compared to a unicorn. A unicorn, we're looking at 10x. A zebra is looking at 2x return.
Yeah.
It's still a positive financial return, except that for a zebra, it is looking at a win-win situation, including for vendors, including for employees. Whereas in a unicorn situation, it's only the shareholders win. Shareholders come first. Financial investors come first. But for us, we are trying to educate our financial investor, you come last. But not last in the sense that it doesn't mean you don't make money. It's just that we want to help to take care of the employee first, the beneficiary first, the vendors first. So how am I going to convince, as you asked me, how am I going to convince a traditional impact investor who look for profit maximizing to accept something that's lower return?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it involves a mindset change. As I spoke earlier with you, we are, because of this COVID-19, people are start questioning what is the purpose of their life. I mean, some still believe making money is the number one priority. That's fine. But we are seeing an increasing group of people going through what I call quarter life crisis, midlife crisis. What is the purpose of living? And start to shift looking at, your life is not just helping profit-driven company, but looking at helping those who want to be purpose-driven company. The purpose-driven is talk about, how can I make this a better world, by save the earth, climate change, or even how can I help the poor? So we are talking about promoting economic equity, which means that you need to put in more money to help the marginalized people, like wheelchair bound people, disabled people, just like, look at the call center, there's some visually impaired people, maybe they need a bigger screen, a bigger font, a voice activated, typing things, this require additional investment, right? And so, but at the end, we are telling them, look, this is not a charity. It's just that, you're giving them better tools so that they can perform just like a normal person do. And we want to show that you can do good and do well at the same time. So I think go back to the question, unless the person has what I call awakening call, realize that, I cannot force the person to switch from a traditional investor to be a social impact investor. I can't do that. It's really more of the journey, discovery,
Right. And you were just talking about this kind of shift, right? That we're currently in from a profit-driven to purpose-driven economy. And, some might argue that, the COVID pandemic is really accelerating this shift. And maybe can you speak to that a little bit more? Because I think in the immediate term, the financial crunch doesn't really accelerate anything, right? But I guess it's really the long-term view that we need to have when understanding this shift. So how do you understand the transition that we're in right now?
Wow, that was $1 million question.
It was too early for that.
First thing first, I haven't seen the end of COVID-19 yet. Whether you call it second wave, third wave, I think that's beyond the description. What I see is that unless there is a mass vaccination available, which is going to take time, and to restart the economy that has shut down so suddenly, it's going to take time as well. So personally, I've been advocating, again, this is my personal opinion, I've been advocating the market meaningful recovery will only start in year 2022.
22, right.
22, not 21, not even next year.
Right, okay.
I don't want to sound too pessimistic, but we need to do something in between.
Yeah.
Right? And for me, this is the best time for businesses to really look at their business model. I'm actually trying to adjust the second new normal. My first new normal, I thought I was settling down, but before I know, I'm like, I need another new normal. So the new normal will never be settled down until the COVID-19 pandemic is over. So we will be continuing going through adjustments, realignment, and more importantly is, we need to be adaptable.
Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately, some business will die. Some business will go out. That is fact of life. Okay.
Yeah.
The question now is, how do you consolidate? How do you become stronger? I think more importantly is not about how. The question is your business model still relevant after the COVID-19? So from that perspective, I think what we impact investors like to look at is something that says that you have think through your whole business model. Again, I expect to see a shift in the paradigm thinking, because we will see a generation change from the now gen to the next gen. I've been hearing a lot of complaints about from next gen is how to convince their parents to do more social impact investing. Which I think, the best way to convince is to show success stories, right? Because everybody can come up with a good case study, good theory paper, but where is the real case? Where is the live case? So this is where my role as a impact investor is try to share our success stories to encourage more and more people to treat social enterprises differently. It is not just more social than enterprise. It is more of a sustainable social impact focused company. Again, this is not just something that happened overnight. I've been doing this for the last 8 years. And slowly I'm beginning to see so-called market acceptance about using or allocating a part of your money into something what we call social impact investing.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. I want to go back to the some of the leadership qualities that you mentioned earlier. Like things like trustworthy, humble, and respect for stakeholders. And I think one of them is really ability to make connections with other collaborators, right? And I think one of the key things that came through your presentation is you're not trying to compete with existing accelerators or existing foundations. It's really creating a platform for collaboration. And I'm wondering if I can invite Aska, just maybe talk about the qualities of the impact heroes that we support. In general, like what do we look for in the impact heroes in general?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. um, yeah, I can totally relate to you when you said that you seek passion, right? And so you're impact investor, and you need to be looking at the financial side of things, and the potential of the social entrepreneurs, to be able to make profits for your investors as well, right? But then what you seek is passion, and I think when we first talked to you, that's what really inspired us, and like got us to sort of to talk to you more, and to find out more about you, and to learn from
And
you.
trust.
Yeah, that's also a huge thing,
Yeah.
Trust is also a huge thing as well. We support our social entrepreneurs or the change makers for 3 years, right? And so that's
Mm,
a long time compared to other social accelerators,
yeah.
and dedicated all our effort into supporting one person per year. And so at any time, we're supporting three change makers, right? And so
Sure.
it's a lot of effort that we're putting into this person, and obviously trust is a huge factor in that. We're
Yep.
partners, and oftentimes we become families, right?
Mm,
Like
mm,
our children
yeah.
become like brothers and sisters, and become such an intimate relationship. And without that, it's very difficult to make positive impacts together, because as you said, we go through the thick and the thin and all of those things together, right? um,
Yes.
so going back to Thomas' question, maybe we can show a slide
Yeah.
with the 7 qualities that we look for in our impact heroes.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of qualities that we see in the change makers that we support, but these are sort of the summary of the qualities that we look for. And the first one is authentic, right? And so by authentic, we mean that this person has gone through these issues that they're trying to address. So we
Mm.
make sure that this is more of a life work for them than some ambition, some passion for a career, or some
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
nothing wrong with
Yep.
that. There's
Yeah.
nothing. It's
Yep.
the kind of person that we're looking for is not that type,
Yeah.
but more of a, someone who can really relate to the communities that they're serving. And this means that they are irreplaceable, because they're one of a kind, right? So they most times they have very intense and at the same time inspiring, and sometimes very heartbreaking experiences that they went through with the issues that they're addressing.
Yes.
It makes them one of a kind, because they're so dedicated, they're so passionate about it, and they basically dedicate their whole life to doing this. And they have a unique role that cannot be substituted for by anyone else. And so they sort of become the agent of hope from the communities that they serve, and they have the trust of the people. And so we're
Mm.
not really looking for people that are like come from a wealthy environment, or like well-educated environment. This person, the change maker, doesn't need to have excellent academic background or professional background, but this person needs to be trusted by the communities, and they are that have the ability to make a change in their communities. um, and also they need to be future oriented, and by this we mean that we're not looking for someone who just wants to follow the footsteps of Japan
Yep.
or Singapore. We don't need any more Japans or
Yep.
anymore. And yeah,
Yep.
well, we've had we have good aspects and not so great aspects, but we want someone who can see through not just the positive side of capitalism and all the economic benefits and developments, but also something we can improve from the system that we've had for the past decades and centuries.
Yes.
Mm. So we're looking for someone who can really realize alternative futures that are best suited for their people and their culture and their history and their background and for their countries, right? And so
Yes.
that's looking for, and this person needs to be passionate, inspirational, and so yeah, this so this person is trusted by the communities, but not only that, this person is able to inspire the world, because to save the world, the first step is to really get to know the issues, right? And so the whole world needs to really wake up and start seeing what's really happening around the world, because too many of us don't know that. And these change makers are able to inspire the world, let them know what's happening, and to really make the connection, to make it relevant for people, to make it and so that they can relate. Yeah, so that's the kind of abilities that we're looking for. And of course, this person has to have leadership, and grounded is exactly what I meant by, trusted
Yeah.
by. So these are the qualities that we're looking for. And I think these are pretty close to the qualities that you are sort of drawn to as well as an impact
Yeah.
investor.
Yeah.
um, I don't think you can just look at these qualities, but you have to look at other qualities as well. But I was kind of interested in hearing your sort of criteria and how you select the social entrepreneurs that you support.
Sure. Sure. Maybe I can continue to elaborate what you have just shared.
Sure.
Um, so when how I define passionate uh, leader or passionate social entrepreneur is that I would challenge the social entrepreneurs that, you know, let's face reality. How much are you paying yourself to feed yourself, your family?
Mm.
Because nobody's going to work for free forever, right?
Mm.
Right.
So this is one of the things that you have to ask very hardcore question.
Mm.
Nothing to be embarrassed about. I will ask, how much are you drawing a salary?
Mm.
What are you paying for? How many kids you have? Are you saving enough to make sure your kids go to school and instead of being hungry, staying at home? I think that is called, you need to be very realistic, okay? If you see an entrepreneur pouring everything into the business, but let the family be hungry, something is foolish. It's not passionate. It's called foolish.
Mm.
So we need to think about something that will, I will always challenge the passionate. I would say, you say you're passionate, right? And I say, how many years you give yourself to work on this?
Mm.
Meaning, if after 5 years didn't work, what would happen? What would you do? Would you close down
Yeah.
Mm.
or would you continue? I
Mm.
mean,
Right.
I ask very hard question like that. Um, and so this will help me to assess, is this guy real or he just want to make a big bucks out of you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong. I'm just saying that the value is different. Some people run startup.com, hopefully to be the next unicorn. I'm fine. I respect that, but some people want to do it because he want to help the community in a more meaningful way, which is more purpose driven rather than profit driven. Second thing was, we talk about leadership. I will ask the person, why you want to be a leader? Why you want to be the boss?
Mm.
Is it because you expect people to serve you or you expect to serve others?
Mm.
Because
Mm.
it's a very huge difference. Some
Yeah.
people want to be boss because so that I can people serve me. I say no. As a boss, you're supposed to serve the employee. Your employees are the boss. You need to take care of your employee first. This is number one. I look at it.
Mm.
The third element which I'm always looking at is it involve a form of sacrifices.
Mm.
A lot of time when you discuss, about investing, you start questioning, you kind of test the social entrepreneur saying, so if I inject $1 million into a business, how much pay increase would you give yourself? How much
Mm.
pay increase would you give to your staff? You
Yeah.
know, from there, kind of like, whether this guy is selfish
Mm,
or a sacrificial. Is he going to take care of the employee first?
mm.
So you
So, I
basically
mean,
the
yeah.
hardest questions.
Well, I mean, I see money not an end, but it's a tool, to reveal the true self of the person. Is he really looking to make money out of me, or are you going to really use the money to, help the community?
Yeah.
Mm.
So these are some of the interesting criteria that we do it off the books. So these are called the off the books due diligence checklist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
how have some of the more, I guess, quote unquote, successful or the inspiring, social entrepreneurs answered some of those very challenging questions?
Well, I respect those who tell me the truth. Say, I will give myself 5 years because, my kids growing up. I need
Yeah.
money to go to school. It's fine, right? I mean, you respect the honesty
Yeah.
more than trying to sell you a story that is a false hope,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think another important thing I see is um, just now when you mentioned about irreplaceable, that
Yeah.
element, sorry to say, that is a red flag to me because I always believe in succession. A business community should not depend on the founder. As a founder, yes, he can provide the charismatic leadership,
Yeah.
the vision, perfect. But the business operation should not depend on the founder alone. That's why I believe in building the right middle tier management team, a successor team, so that, in fact, it's good for the founder so that he or she can be free to do all the PR
Yep.
publicity work,
Yep.
Yeah.
the charisma, which is fine,
Yep.
Mm.
but, again, we are business people, right? We are investor. We want to see your revenue coming in. You cannot say, oh, sorry, Mason, I'm on the road show for 2 weeks. There's no business revenue. I'll be dead, So these are some of the things that you need to be very, very cautious. Again, we are an investor. So what it means that we expect a return of money. Of course,
Yeah.
we need to discuss the time frame, the time work, and sort of like that.
Mm.
So again, go back to the question that what are the quality? Actually, what I'm looking for is honesty,
Mm.
integrity.
Yeah.
Um, we don't like corruption, which I know is very challenging in Indonesia or even rest of Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
But we need to give them hope,
Mm.
hope of doing the right thing. We know
Mm.
corruption is wrong, but
Mm.
why are we embracing that culture? you know, I know it's not easy. That's why I said, wrong is wrong even when everybody is doing it, but
Mm.
right is right even when nobody is doing it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. 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 Yeah.
So what you do is a reflection of your value. Your value is a part of your legacy,
Yeah.
right? So this is just a snapshot of some of the criteria that I think is
Mm.
important because once, like I said, for me is when I support a social entrepreneur, it is all or nothing.
Mm. Mm.
Okay.
And do you how much do you trust your guts? Like, you meet a potential investee, and
Uh-huh.
you do you get that inspiration within the first few seconds of meeting, or is that trust and that's
I wouldn't
the
say few seconds. I'm not a Superman. um, I would say maybe after an hour or so conversation
yeah.
that, I think all of us need to recognize this.
Mm.
Each of us have different strengths
Yeah.
and different limitations.
Mm.
Rather than try to portray that yourself as a perfect person, which we know there's no perfect person,
Yeah.
the social entrepreneur should be very upfront what they
Mm.
are good at and what they are not good at,
Mm.
right? If you try to tell me you're good at everything, then I say you don't need me. Thank you very much. All the best to you.
Right.
You know, and I think, but it's very hard because of a human nature not to admit your weaknesses, your
Mm.
limitations. Everybody try to show that I'm strong, I'm good,
Yeah.
but I think it's human. So for me, it's really more. That's why I must confess, our due diligence takes time.
Mm.
Some of the deal can take as long as 18 months.
Okay.
Right. Right.
Right? Is more than just looking at your face. I like you. It's really more of understanding about how the social entrepreneurs face challenges,
Yeah.
Yep.
and whether I can trust you. You are not a fly by night bucket shop.
Yep.
Um, is about how I can, like I mentioned to you, for me, once I invest in someone, it's either or nothing.
Yeah.
Because for me, it means that if I invest in you, I need to make sure you work,
Right.
succeed. You need to succeed. There is no backward, unless But obviously, we made a couple of mistakes. We had to give up a couple of investees. But our philosophy is, we need to go support all the way.
Our time is running out.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I have one really challenging question. Maybe not.
Okay.
I mean, all these kind of leadership qualities that you mentioned about honesty, integrity, having passion, and
Yeah.
how much sacrifice are you willing to give? I mean, a lot of these are arguably innate qualities, right? How much of these qualities, are kind of be developed, can be groomed over time?
I believe it can,
Mm,
with
mm,
the right support, with the right encouragement,
mm,
and mixing with the right group of people,
mm, mm,
right?
mm,
Um, why I say that, because when you are surrounded by like-minded, in terms of people who share the same values,
mm,
people who hate corruption, people who believe in honesty, people who believe in keeping only one set of books instead of two, three set of books, you will naturally be encouraged.
mm, mm,
Um, so I would strongly encourage, uh, social entrepreneurs out there in the market, uh, stay true to your values,
mm,
because whatever you do, your children will follow you.
mm,
You know, they will follow what you do, not what you say.
mm,
So again, each of us, we know we all will die one day. But what kind of legacy you personally are leaving behind? Will people remember you as a crook, or people remember you as a very kind person? People don't remember how much you left behind, the money, but people will remember you how you treat him or her. That is the humanitarian side. We all are human. We need to leave this a better world to live for the next generation. Not necessarily in terms of physical environment, but more of safe environment,
mm,
more of a healthy relationship environment.
mm,
Again, this is why I say, I would very much like to see how my social entrepreneurs, for example, treat his or her security guard, sapam, in Indonesia. Because the way how he or she talk to a low position employee will reveal to me what kind of person he or she is.
mm,
You know, how you treat a fellow citizen, how you fellow people, regardless of their social status, will be a reflection of your heart condition. Again, for us as investors, we are not just looking at character risk, but it's also a reputation risk.
yeah.
In terms of, are we investing in the right person?
Mm,
You don't want to be associated with a crook. You want to be helping the right person with the right heart.
mm,
That is our mission.
mm. That that point about, how do they treat the security guards, I think it's a really interesting point. And I remember, I forgot the company, but I still remember the story where they were trying to hire like a senior executive for this company.
Yes.
And one thing they do is they fly out the executive, right, to their headquarters.
Yeah.
And of course they're picked up at the airport by their driver, right? And then, driven
Yeah.
to the building. And the HR person would actually interview the driver and say, was he a good guy? Is he trustworthy? Because that's
Wow.
how, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't hide your real true identity.
Yeah.
Your real behavior.
Yeah.
This is why I say, if you are a leader, are you expecting to be served, or
Mm,
you are expected to serve others?
mm, mm.
So this is a different mindset thinking. Sometimes people say, oh, I have 10,000 employees below me, but to me, I'm not that impressed. I'm more impressed by how you treat others with dignity, with honor, and I think that matters most to us.
Okay. Great. I mean, I can talk to you for hours, but unfortunately, do you, Mason? We just want to go through the Impact Hero COF applications, but do you have any announcements from your side in terms of? I know you in your presentation you were talking about launching next Seth batch. I don't know if you want to talk about that or any other thing. So yeah, it's.
Well, not really. We are now finalizing our second cohort. And we will be sharing a bit about what our first cohort just graduated last week. We will soon publishing stories and let them share about how they have benefited from the program. And we are looking really want to encourage more social entrepreneurs to be investment ready. And and I think that is very, very important.
Great.
I will pass back to you, Tomo. Talk a bit about your impact hero. I'm excited. Want to hear more about it.
Okay, great. Okay.
So we're calling for new applications for the Impact Hero 2021. We deliberately took a year off last year, so we don't have Impact Hero 2020. And that's because we've supported Impact Heroes for 5 years, and we kind of wanted to take a moment to reflect on the supports that we provided and wanted to sort of reflect on what worked and what didn't, and so that we can strengthen our support system. And so now we're building our capacity much, much more and much, much stronger. And so Impact 2020, Impact Hero 2021 is going to be the first person to sort of experience that. So the due date for the application is 2nd of September, so which is coming up in about, I think, 8 days. And so if there's anyone, we'll come up to your mind, Mason. We would love to get your input and suggestions on possible candidates. But I'm not limited to that. For anyone who's watching this, if you're interested, do let us know. There's a link at the bottom of this slide. So just go on there and there's an application form. And after the 2nd of September, we're going to go through the applications and then shortlist the candidates. And by early November, we'll notify all the candidates of the results. And then the support is going to start the first day of next year. So that's January 1st, 2021, which is really exciting for us. And so we've been doing this talk series, and this was the 4th one we did. The first 3 were with the 3 of the Impact Heroes. And so Mason, you're the only non-Impact Hero talk that we've done. And it was really insightful, and I really, really enjoyed that. There's going to be one more hero talk left, which is going to be this Saturday at 29th. And it's going to be with Kathy. She's a climate change activist, and she's also a poet. And she uses the power of art and words to reach out to people of the world to tell stories about her islands, her country, which is the Marshall Islands, which is going to be will likely be one of the first countries to go under the ocean because of the climate change, and she's really fighting that. And so hopefully and all of you will be able to join this talk as well and hear directly from her about her journey. So I think that's about it from us.
Yeah. We're just it's almost 9 o'clock here in Bali as well in Singapore. Maybe we can just each share final words, just maybe things that we've learned or things that came up to our minds in the last hour. Yeah, whoever wants to start, Mason, us, or myself. Maybe, I mean, I'm happy to go first. I mean, just I mean, it was really, really insightful, and yeah, listening to your words of wisdom, Mason. I think the word wise is probably the best adjective to describe you. And yeah, I mean, hearing you speak actually makes me want to be a better person. It's like thinking about my legacies, thinking about what I do and what my kids will follow and all that. So I think you have a very strong moral compass, and I think that's extremely important for social entrepreneurs who are dealing with people's lives, especially marginalized people's lives. And it's a really important thing to have, and to honesty and integrity and all those things. And the last thing that you mentioned was quite striking to me. That these characteristics or these qualities can actually be changed, can be improved over time. And I think what you said about surrounding yourself with like-minded people, I think is a really strong message. It's really about the people, after all. It's the people that will change you.
Yes.
And it's really important to find people, people that inspire you, people that you respect, and plugging yourself into that kind of community so that you yourself can be a better person. So yeah, thanks so much for all that.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
Well, all I can say is that I'm sharing from my past failures. I'm not as successful as you think. I have war scars, bullet wounds on my body. You didn't haven't seen it yet. But I want to share that it is okay to fail.
Mm,
Only through failures you learn. You
mm,
Yeah.
know, I'm always very wary of social entrepreneurs that tell me they never fail. It makes me think that either I'm very stupid or they are Superman. That I can't afford, I can't follow that guy. But don't put yourself too harsh when you fail.
yeah.
Treat it as a lesson.
Mm,
I mean, I don't see failures as a failure per se, but I
mm,
see failures as a lessons.
mm,
And I think many people are taking too much stress from what they call that being successful.
mm,
But successful can mean different thing to different people.
yeah. Yeah.
For me is I learned about rejection.
Mm,
Rejection, people don't like to be rejected, right? But rejection today compared to 10 years or 20 years ago is different.
mm,
People reject you 20 years ago because they disagree with your values.
mm,
Today people have different set of values, and they reject you because they don't follow your value, but it doesn't mean you're wrong,
mm, mm,
right? You just share have different values. So some people put family first and some
mm,
people put business first,
mm,
and it's just like you just have to say, do you and I share the same value? If you put family first, yes, okay, I go with it, I go with you.
mm, mm, mm,
And I think is the wisdom is learned through from the hard knocks, on the walls and failures. But I was sharing with a lot of young social entrepreneurs. First of all, don't be afraid to fail,
mm,
and fail early.
mm.
Don't be too stubborn, and don't make the same mistake twice. And I think this is something that social entrepreneurs have to learn to embrace failures as a medal on their chest, and really don't put yourself too harsh if you fail. I mean, life goes on.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm, mm. Great advice.
Yeah. Yeah. I just like want to sit here and keep listening to you know,
I'm just sharing my scars and wounds, and that's all.
I can't
Yeah.
wait to hear about your failures one day.
yeah. Yeah. We
Yeah, yeah.
should,
I have more failures than success. You'll be surprised to hear that.
yeah, but like you said, I mean, there are failures for any social entrepreneur or change maker or anyone who like really challenges themselves to make something out of your life, right? And
Yeah,
definitely a journey, and especially change makers, especially the kinds of change makers that we support. they tend to carry so much. They
Mm.
have such strong sense of responsibility, and they voluntarily carry so much, for
Mm.
their people.
Yes.
That's the kind of
Yes.
mindset and mentality that they have, right? And so a lot of the times I do actually worry about them, and they
Mm.
have no outlet to share that kind of vulnerability, because they're
Mm.
surrounded by people that they're serving, and they're trying to
Mm.
help, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and so sometimes it's really difficult to build rapport or trust with these people, because especially with these change makers that we support, a lot of people approach them, right?
Mm.
And a lot of people offer help. But then
Mm,
how many percent of those people do actually help?
Mm.
Not
exactly.
so much, right? Because it's not that
Mm,
easy to help. It's easy to
yes.
offer, but it's not that easy to actually help, right? And so
Yeah.
being sort of turned back, with they being like rejected and they
Mm.
being let down way too
Yes.
many times, to be able to trust someone who's just who tells them that they're willing to help, and so
Yeah.
we've had experiences with that. And so we've had like, yeah, based on our experience, they don't always trust people right away, but then
Mm.
they trust people
Absolutely.
who actually
Yeah.
see that these people are helping,
Mm.
you
That's
know
right. That's
it's,
right.
we have
I
to
mean,
sort of earn that trust.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when you talked about trust, like I was thinking, like how does he make that happen? How does he build, like does he do anything specifically to build the trust? But then like as here, like as I heard you, in the past hour, I kind of get the feeling that
Yeah.
as Tomo was saying, like he's so inspired, and you made him want to be a better person. I want to be a better person. I think other investors, and
Uh,
even the traditional investors want to be a
Yeah.
better person, but
Yeah.
pursuing profits, but but
Yeah.
other things in the world. And I think that's how you win their trust,
mm. Mm.
and
Mm.
so I kind of
Yeah.
decided to ask the question, or maybe we can talk about it some other time. but
Yeah. Yeah.
but
And you're absolutely right. Sometimes, I think because in my stage of life, I rather tell the truth, and the truth hurts,
yeah,
Mm.
right? Nobody like to hear the truth, but, the truth hurts. But the fact that you can accept the truth and move on will make you a better person.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
You see, a lot of
Mm.
people can tell you the things that you want to hear, not that you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
yeah,
That becomes a lot of lies, a lot of fake, false, fake, relationship. And I said, we're not going to waste time in that.
right,
We want to help to build, like you say, authentic,
Yeah.
yeah,
the passionate. We want to help you, but you want to help you, us to help you, you must be honest and transparent with us as well before we can help you.
yeah,
Otherwise, we're wasting time helping the wrong thing.
Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and same
So
thing with the investors, right? Like I think when you talk to them, I think you kind of make them feel bad at first, 'cause you might feel like, oh, I'm kind of guilty of
Mm.
doing this and that, and but I think in the end, it's in us, like it's an innate quality of any human being to want to help,
Yeah.
to be there
yes.
for someone, and if that makes someone happy, then
Mm.
that makes you happy. I think it's a very simple thing, but I think it's an innate thing, right?
Mm.
And I think
Yes.
what you do, what you say, or what your entrepreneurs, what our change makers do, kind of touch that soft part of
Mm.
people's hearts, and
Mm.
I think
Mm,
that's how the world starts to change. And I
Mm.
feel like
yeah.
this is a really good time to do that, because with the COVID and everything,
Mm.
Yeah.
people are having to face the reality,
Mm.
not just
Yes.
like they might go out to the office and work so hard,
Mm.
and they make a lot of money, but when they come back to the house, to their
Mm.
home, are they appreciated by their families, they
Mm.
Yes.
really
Yes.
saw their children grow
Right.
up, like that kind of stuff. We have to kind of face that now,
There's
Yeah.
nowhere to escape now in lockdown.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely agree.
it's
Mm.
a tough time for sure, but then
Mm.
it's also a chance to
Yeah.
change as
Mm.
well.
Mm.
At least I would like to see it that way. I think you did too.
That's why the world need people like both of you, to really to encourage, to be open-minded, to be open-hearted about this, because let us speak the truth. Not everyone is coping well.
Mm.
There are people who are going through very difficult time.
Mm.
One of the key things that we talk about is mindfulness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Mm.
Are we being mindful about other people's feelings? Are we
Yeah.
being mindful about, not because you are doing well, you're lucky, but
Mm.
you should have compassion
Yeah.
Mm.
for others, people who are around you who are not doing well. Not necessarily have to give money, but really by saying a positive word of encouragement
Yeah.
can change the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, if I can just add one.
We need to have another session. This is part one, right? I mean, you're talking part two.
Right, yeah.
There'll be more to come for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing that I wanted to say was that how these change makers and entrepreneurs need the support system, right? And so, as you
Mm,
said, they have their strengths and they have their weaknesses, and I think it's really important for them to be aware of that, right? And they, as I said, they tend to carry too much, so they tend to think that I can do this, I'm gonna do this, but then
yeah.
you need to think that way.
Mm.
You should really focus on the things that you're good at, and
Mm.
other stuff you should delegate to people that are good at it, and that's how
Yes.
accelerate the impact, right?
Mm.
By allocating
Yes.
the
Yes.
right person to the right places.
Mm.
And so that's why I think this support system that you're providing and we're providing is very important. So the more people join this
Yeah.
system, the better and the
Mm.
faster that the impact is going to be made.
Mm.
And so I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you see that point, because I never see this as my ecosystem or your ecosystem. It's our ecosystem
Yeah.
that we want to help each other to succeed. Because I've been telling my social entrepreneurs, unless you succeed, I can never say I succeed. So I
Mm.
need to make sure the social entrepreneur, our investees,
Yeah.
Yeah.
succeed first before we can help others. So
Mm.
I
Right.
think this is something that we need to be imposed, not necessarily pressure, but I call disciplines,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
right? A lot of people think you don't need to be disciplined to be successful. But if you look at it, many successful people are because they're disciplined.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Mm. Mm.
Wow.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we definitely we'll plan on part two. Some of this was yeah, I mean, this is really, really nourishing for the soul. So thank you
Yes.
so much for your time,
Oh,
Mason.
my
Uh,
pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me. Yeah.
Thank
hope we can
you.
collaborate in many ways. Um,
Yes.
and would love for our impact heroes to actually learn from you as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks so much again, and thanks to
Thank
everyone
All
you.
who
right. Thank
watched,
you. Thanks, everyone.
and have a good night.
Have a good
Good night.
night.
Good
Okay,
night.
bye.
Bye.